Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about RPO codes. What is an RPO code? Where do you find them and what do they mean and how do they help you decode things like your rear differential, which is kind of what today's video is all about. So let's dive into RPO codes. So an RPO code is a code that was created by GM and it means regular production option. It is a code that they assign to specific options or modifications to the vehicle as it rolls off the assembly line. RPO codes used to be called sales codes and they started around the 50s, and around in the 70s GM changed them to RPO codes and changed them to what we can see now as the regular alphanumerical code. In the 50s they were all more numerical. So RPO codes can be used to help determine what options and what modifications were added to your vehicle as it was being manufactured. So in this video we're going to talk about RPO codes as it pertains to the differentials in GM vehicles, because I was just underneath the old F-beater there working on that and I was wondering what gearing does it actually have in it. So let's take a look at the GM vehicles that I own and let's look at the RPO codes for their differential and see what we can find from that information. Now that's assuming everything is stock and no one's played with anything, but I can assure you the 3 GM vehicles, well there's actually 4 of them that I own, none of the differentials have been changed. Okay, wait a minute, I lied. The 81 Camaro, I changed the differential on that. But let's look at the 3 other vehicles, the 97 Camaro that I have, the 2018 Camaro, and my 07 Chevy Avalanche. So let's take a look. Okay, the first vehicle we're going to take a look at the differential RPO codes for is my 2007 Chevy Avalanche. So here we are in the truck pulling down the glove box door, and you can see this little sticker in here with a ton of little numbers on there and letters. Well, that's our RPO code label. So I just got to manipulate the glove box door a little bit more, and now we can get it all the way down, get a better view. So here's the sticker, and there's a ton of alphanumeric codes on there, and this thing being an LTZ, there's a absolute ton of options over a base model Avalanche. But a couple things I recognize right away: LC9, I mean that's the engine designation for this vehicle, it's the all aluminum 5.3, but more specifically going through the differential codes, we see a GT4, which means I have the 373 gears for the truck. If it was a GT5, it would be 410 gears, and if it was a GU6, well, that would tell me I have a 342 gear ratio. So we got the 373 gears with a GT4, and then G80 also means we have a limited slip rear differential or rear axle. So this has got 373s with a limited slip. All right, so for the 4th gen Camaro, there's 2 locations. One of them, as you can see right here on the door jamb, gives you all your RPO code information. Scanning through here, we're going to look for a number GU4. That means I have a 308 rear gear ratio. If it was a GU2, that would mean a 273. I have had a 4th gen with a 273. It was a 94 with an automatic as well. Bit of a dog, I must say. GU5 would be a 323. Typically the automatic SS cars or Z28 cars, post 94 anyways, would have a GU5 with the automatic. That seemed to be the gear ratio that GM chose. And a GU6 here would mean I have a 342. Now the GU6 cars were all 6-speed cars for the most part. And GM really looked at how to get those differential ratios working harmoniously with the transmission first gear ratios. So the overall first gear ratio of the differential and the transmission gear combined was around 10:1, which gave decent acceleration and also allowed for overdrive on that final drive ratio to give yourself good fuel economy and low RPM on the highway. So GU4 means 308. There is no G80 or no other G60 or no other limited slip code here because this car is a 1-leg pegger. She's a 1-tire fire. It does not have a limited slip diff of any kind. And other locations that your 4th gen may have, the RPO code is again in the glove box, but by opening up the glove box here, there's nothing on it. So some years they were in the glove box, some years they were on the door jamb. Okay, and for those of you with a 2018 Camaro like I have here, the RPO code, well, should be in the trunk on this foam sort of organizer, but mine has gone missing. I noticed that early on, so no way to decode the diff on this car. Put everything back here. But that is the 2017 and 2018, I believe, RPO code location. For those of you with a 2019 and newer, a lot of those cars, they have a QR code somewhere here on the inner door sill or even on the door, and that you can scan and find your RPO code online, and that's a lot handier than having a little sticker or a label that can go missing. So depending on the vehicle you own out of the GM fleet, you're going to find that RPO code information anywhere. It could be on the door jamb, it could be on the door sill, it could be on the glove box, or it could be in the trunk. It could be in the form of a label, a plastic label, or it could be in the form of a QR code. So you got to do your research as to where it is, and once you narrow down where it is and start looking at all the codes, you can use certain different websites. I use West Coast Differentials or any website online to show me sort of the breakdown of what axle and what axle configuration, limited slip, non-limited slip, locking, non-locking, I actually have in the vehicle. And it's important to know your rear differential configuration, because if you're modifying your vehicle in any way, you're going to need to understand any changes that you may have to make your car work with all those high performance parts, big camshafts, etc., that you want to put in the car. So your rear differential decode is actually a lot of fun, and then from there, if you want to look at engine options and all sorts of things, it's all in the RPO code as well, so you can do that as well. So what I do know from years of experience of having 4th gens is that there are the desirable 342 and the desirable 323 based on the automatic 323 or the 6-speed car 342. And so I think the GU5 and the GU6 are the ones that are gold. You want to see that when you're looking for a 4th gen, you want to see that GU5 or GU6. So I actually owned a 94 Z28 with a dreaded GU2 273 highway special rear axle ratio with the 4L60 automatic, and that car, it was a little sluggish, so wasn't the best option. And had I known about RPO codes, I don't know if I would have bought that car. I would have looked for another vehicle with the GU5 rear axle ratio. All right, well, I hope you learned a little bit of something about RPO codes, and specifically those for differentials. And a lot of this pertains to, you know, Chevy vehicles like the Chevy Camaro, the 4th gen Camaro, etc. There's thousands of RPO codes and potentially hundreds to describe rear axle ratios. So do your research, find a credible website or reference document somewhere, and then look at what you got in your vehicle, and then you can start planning out modifications. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit of something about your rear differential and your axle ratios and RPO codes in general, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.